narrowboat for the past 8 or so years. This is my current narrowboat. It's called Tranquil. This is when I bought it on its mooring in Northampton. I get asked a lot of questions, so I'm going to try and answer some of the frequently asked questions, tell you how I got into it as well. What happened was I met a guy up here in Liverpool, and he actually lives on this boat, the Captain Morgan, in Reading, and I went to live on that with him. Very appropriately named boat because we got through quite a lot of rum during that time. We had quite an eventful time on this boat as well, as you can see. We were moored in Henley-on-Thames and the banks burst, so we had to wade back to the boat. And that was our walk to the pub at the bottom there. If we took a step, if we walked too far to the right, we would have actually sank about 6 feet deep because you couldn't quite tell where the river started. Also, one rainy day in December, I got a phone call that I had to come back immediately because a tree had landed right through our roof. We were the only boat in a row of about 20 boats with a wooden roof, and it smashed right through our roof. Also, that's right next to Kate Bush's house. House is just that short. So, we broke up, and I realised quite soon that I didn't actually miss the boy, but I did miss the boat. So I was on the flat, bought my boat. This is it when I bought it. It's never been that tidy ever since. It's a 33-foot cruiser stern. Like I say, I bought it in Northampton, which I thought was in the north until I tried to drive there. This is a map of the canal system. There's 2,200 navigable miles of waterway in the UK. I bought it in Northampton. I took 6 weeks, 6 nice sunny weeks to drive up, sail up to the north. Then across the River Ribble, I stayed on the Lancaster Canal for about 2 years. While I was there, I got my boatmaster licence. I got a job on this boat, sailing passengers around, so that was my office view while I was there. But while I was up in Lancaster, they actually built me a new canal right into Liverpool, which you've probably all seen. So a few months later, I left university, I left my job, came back to Liverpool, basically sailing back in 2010. And I was only meant to come back for the winter for 6 months, but I stayed because it's lovely. So frequently asked questions, I always get asked about boats. A lot of people want to know how much it costs. It can cost anything. There's a boat at the top there, perfectly good, 37-year-old boat, less than 10 grand. On the other end, you can pay as much as you like. If you want to live in luxury, if you want to have a widescreen TV, if you want that type of thing, you can pay about 150 grand. If you've got that kind of money, I think you might as well just live in a flat anyway, to be honest, because you're still going to get seagulls on your roof, you're still going to get kids untying your rope in the middle of the night, you're still going to get fishermen just annoying you. The other question that everyone wants to know is about your toilet. I don't know why. People ask, have you got a toilet? Of course I have. Mine is a luxurious pump out, as you see on the top every few months or a few weeks. I go and get it pumped out. Others have the 2 main toilets, everyone wants to know about them. Is a cassette toilet which you have to go and take and empty. Everyone always asks me, does it get cold in the winter? Of course it does. It's the UK, it gets really cold. For the first 3 years on my boat, I didn't even have a heater. So I used to leave a glass of Coke out, and I'd come home and it'd be like this. On the Lancaster Canal, it would actually freeze over in the winter, so that's me standing next to my boat on the canal. You'd look outside and you'd see swans walking past over the canal. The other extreme though is at this time of year, it gets really, really hot. No matter how big or expensive your boat is, it's a metal box, and it's like being inside a car. So dogs die in hot cars and probably in boats as well. It was over. I took that photo. It went off the top of the thermometer. It was over 32 degrees. So a lot of people will say to me all the time. They say when they hear that I live on a boat, they'll say, "Oh, I've always wanted to live on a boat." Well, I always say back, "Well, why don't you then?" It's a great way of getting close to nature. That picture on the top right is an otter that used to come and visit me in Lancaster. It's a great way of seeing the seasons change. Here in Liverpool, there's just always something going on outside your window. I felt the boat rocking one day, looked outside, there's this guy on a real plume of water sailing past my boat. Other interesting things that I was having a cup of tea one day on my boat and looked outside and saw the duck marine sinking. Completely coincidentally, this was about 2 months after they sacked me, completely coincidentally. It wasn't my fault, I didn't leave the plug out that time. That's a whole slideshow all itself. But it is hard work, it is dirty work. Every couple of years I get it craned out and I repaint the bottom, get all the barnacles scraped off, power washed off, and then I spend the summer basically, you'll see, on my back, underneath the boat, with a drill in my hand, with a wire brush, getting all that rust off. So it took about 2 or 3 weeks doing that one year, and then realised that I had to spend 3 grand just getting a new bottom welded on anyway. I was a bit sick. Also know loads of things about diesel engines that I never really wanted to know and I don't care about, but I have to. My favourite question I've ever been asked, just to sum up, is when someone found out that I lived on a boat, they said, "What, like Quincy?" So the answer to that question is obviously yes. My life is exactly like Quincy's. Thank you.